we're going to talk about the Raptors here a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. The Raptors are what the Warriors' strength in numbers were, where they could go and rely on their bench to win them some games. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering here if you're going to go with the bench guy or a starter guy, because the Raptors, they don't really have that superstar core other than Pascal Siakam playing the way he is this year. But I'm curious to see if maybe one of the starters is your X factor.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with Marc Gasol as their certified
Okay.
X factor. And the reason I say that is because we've seen him slim down a little bit over the course of this season, especially with some time off in quarantine. He's had a lot of time to work on himself. But that also means he's now having to defend these big men with a smaller frame than he's used to. He's
Okay.
a great floor spacer, similar to what I've been saying about Brook Lopez, but he's getting up there in age. He has had a lot of wear and tear on his bones, right? So can he defend those top big men?
I feel
And
like
if he does,
I feel like Marcus Gasol still has it in him. I mean,
yep,
we've seen him at his prime. He was a force in Memphis, and a lot of people forget that he was a big part of them winning the championship last year too,
yep, he was.
giving them the spark that they needed in the playoffs and the scoring that they needed for their big. It was really nice to see Marcus Gasol finally win a ring after all those seasons in Memphis.
Yeah, and that's why I
I
went with Marc Gasol there, because if he can defend Joel Embiid the same way that he did in last year's playoffs, if he could make those big stops, if they make it further down the line, if he could help out guarding Giannis, if he can help out guarding some of the other NBA bigs in the Western Conference, he can make a huge difference for that team because we know what he can do on offense.
I'm thinking of another player that can make a huge difference on this team, and I'm looking, and I see OG Anunoby, and this guy, I can't stress how important defense is off the bench. But not only can he defend, he can come into the game and score for you. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
his combination of defense and offense is going to be the X factor here. If he can come into the game when Pascal goes out for a break or Serge Ibaka goes out for a break, they're two best defenders, and help Kyle Lowry, because Kyle Lowry is not the best, one of the best defenders in the league. If he can help Kyle Lowry in any way, I feel like OG Anunoby can be one of the biggest X factors in the Raptors. I mean, possibly taking the 1 seed, but it's unlikely, but they could. So I feel
Yeah.
like OG can really, really step it up here. There's a chance to prove himself as a not an upcoming player, but as a good role player this season. And if he comes in and does it, I can't see a bigger X factor on this team other than him.
Yeah, and I think his ceiling is going to look a lot like Kawhi Leonard in that 2014 NBA Finals, where
Oh,
he wasn't really the main focus. There was a lot of guys around him that were vets and definitely the stars of the team. But he came in and he played some big defensive minutes, right? And that's what made the difference. So that's the closest thing to an X factor that you can get. So I really like your description of OG there.
the Celtics are our next team that we're going to talk about. And I feel like we could possibly agree here because year in and year out, we see this team in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the true X factor on this team is Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
If Marcus Smart can go out there and guard their point guard and maybe shut them down, I mean, let's talk about it a little bit. If we're the Celtics and we're playing the Raptors in the playoffs, Marcus Smart comes into the game and checks Kyle Lowry. That could be one of the matchups that we see Kyle Lowry get shut down because of how aggressive Marcus Smart is and how much of a pest he is. He gets into these players' heads. He reminds me of 80s basketball, 90s basketball. When it's rough, you can hit each other like the
Mm-hmm.
Pistons, the bad boys. I see Marcus Smart has that grit in him and that grind. I feel like he's one of those players that can really, really change any game, any series he's in.
Yeah, and Marcus Smart, kind of going off of what you were saying, he's not afraid to play dirty. We've seen him flop. We've seen him get all into guys' face, guys that are a foot taller than him, and he's still getting all up in their grill, right? He's not afraid of the moment. He's a big-time player on defense, but let's not forget about his offense. He's been having a good shooting season this year too.
Yeah, he has.
Right? If he knocks that shot down and locks down the other team's player, even if it's for 20 minutes at a time, not for the entire run of the game. That's a big game changer right there. They might be running him a lot more on the floor, right? Not to replace Kemba Walker or anything, because the way that guy plays, man, that changes everything. But for short stretches of the game, they can unleash the bulldog that is Marcus Smart.
Kemba Walker has been balling since college. Undeniably, he's one of the most fast-paced point guards in the game. Brings a lot to the Celtics. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow our social medias for more updates. See you next time on Backseat Banter.